My name is Audrey Schlichting. I am double majoring in mechanical engineering systems and professional flight. I feel like my story in that way is kind of strange. I grew up with a whole bunch of war heroes in my family, specifically my great-grandpa. He was a bombardier in World War II, super inspired by him. One of my classmates in high school actually recommended that I do Civil Air Patrol, which is basically like the Air Force for kids. And I absolutely loved it. I did my discovery flight with Civil Air Patrol up in Washington State, and it was fantastic. So I knew when I did my flight that that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in aviation 100%. That really led me to figure out where I was going to go to college, and ASU was really the obvious choice for me. Coming to school here, it's sunny almost every day of the year, and that means I could fly more than I could in Washington State, at least in my initial training. So up until this point, my flight training has consisted of being in the 172 and the PA-44. So the 172 is called the Cessna Skyhawk, and the PA-44 is the Piper Seminole. So those two have been the two planes that I've had the most experience in. Some of my experience has been a little bit different though. I've had a lot of sim time. In that way, I helped certify the Sky Courier when I was a flight test engineer at Textron. That was super satisfying, being able to be on one of the certification flights. Helping out with the T6 was really cool as well. Again, didn't get to fly it, but being able to support that aircraft was amazing. Lots of sim time here at ASU with the CRJ-200 and with the Beechcraft, the King Air. That was fantastic as well. And what kept me at Barrett was definitely the Barrett thesis. I was really intrigued to do research in aviation and engineering and just humanitarian applications as well. My research was called MANA, an autonomously guided parachute delivery system, and that directly tied into my aviation and engineering backgrounds as well. With humanitarian companies like MAF and JARS, there are places all across the world that don't have access to supplies, food, medical equipment in general, just because there's not a landing strip available to them. So they're landing in mountainous terrain and with the inability to receive any kind of supplies. So while we're working with these companies, we designed a solution for aircraft to deliver supplies via the airplane. You just check out the supplies basically from the plane, and it will guide itself safely to the ground so that the people below can receive them without getting injured. One of my favorite things that Barrett did for me was they actually sponsored me to go to the Women in Engineering Conference to represent ASU and just to be an ambassador for Barrett while I was there. That was a neat opportunity just to be able to network with all the different kinds of engineering companies as well, and aviation companies. I had no idea that NASA and Delta and Sierra Space and other companies like that were just going to be there. So the opportunity to ask them lots of questions was fantastic. I think one of the most satisfying parts of being in Barrett has actually been this last semester for me. So after I finished almost all of my mechanical and pro-flight education, I've been able really to give that back with being the pro-flight student engagement assistant. That has been super satisfying, just writing out some guides and hosting events for students and just sharing my knowledge with them, like, hey, I have industry experience. Here are some tips I would recommend for you guys as well. Specifically being a pro-flight student, a lot of people thinking about Barrett, considering Barrett, are usually on the fence about it just because it's a large time commitment as well. For me, 100% worth it just because of all the opportunities to work with faculty, to do the research that I was interested in the field that I'm going into. All of that, hands down, worth it for me, because I didn't realize that aviation, like Delta, United, American, you name it, all of the major airlines are also part of those communities as well. Post-graduation, I have accepted an offer with Boeing up in Seattle, Washington, working as a flight deck crew operations engineer. So it sounds super complicated, but I'm going to be working to design the cockpits for the larger jets from here on out. I was really thankful for the opportunities that Barrett gave me. It was a little bit more structured for me in the different things that I wanted to accomplish. I could still do that further learning with my professors, with the honors enrichment contracts, I could still pursue those different areas and didn't have to necessarily do a minor in it, because otherwise I'd be in school forever.